Hey, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Today we want to share with you an opportunity through Purdue University to engage your elementary school classroom students in a STEM agricultural opportunity that focuses predominantly on the laying hen industry. So our program team, my name is Elizabeth Karcher. I'm an assistant professor in the animal science department at Purdue.
And I'm Danielle Marks. I'm her graduate student and master's in animal science, and I had my bachelor's here at Purdue in ag education.
So Danielle and I are working together with a whole team of people to be able to create these modules. Part of our advisory team that we have ranges from elementary school teachers here in the state of Indiana, as well as industry professionals that represent people from across the laying hen poultry industry. So we wanted to start today by sharing you a little bit about how you might be able to integrate this program into your classroom and the type of objectives that we're trying to achieve with this program. So really our big goal is to be able to create STEM-based online modules that really will introduce your students to the egg industry. And not just the egg industry, but really to gain a better understanding of where does their food come from. And since most people eat eggs, our goal is to use the laying hen industry to get that across to the students. We also want to look at, in addition to online, we're really interested in seeing supplemental classroom activities such as a science interactive notebook, as well as in-class collaborative group projects that students might be able to engage in order to meet the overall objectives of the program. So why should teachers in the state of Indiana be interested in participating in this program? So really our hope is that we can engage students early in STEM. We know across STEM disciplines that students who are engaged earlier tend to persist in STEM disciplines. And when we look across the next decade, there's going to be a real need across multiple types of disciplines for students that have the STEM background. So engaging students early is one way to increase this pipeline of workers. We're also really interested in increasing student awareness and understanding of the egg industry. Again, going back to this is where their food comes from, and really anybody, not just people in agriculture, but everyone really needs to understand where that food is in fact coming from. Our thoughts are we can expose the students from where this comes from, but also offer it in a way that's fun and engaging for the students using different types of activities that all meet Indiana academic state standards. So we've been very deliberate as we go through this program, and we've developed these modules and outside activities to make sure for the teachers that will be using these modules that they really fit with and align with academic standards for the state. And again, our other big focus is to do this in a way that's really engaging for students by using different type of instructional strategies, developing different types of games that they can engage in to get students interested in the learning process. So the components of the program, we have 5 online modules. So teachers who participate in the program, their students will have 5 modules, and we'll go into each of these and share a little bit with you. But they'll participate in these online modules. They'll complete an interactive science notebook as they're going through the modules, so they have a little bit of in-classroom work along with the modules, and then as well as this collaborative group project that they'll have at the end of the completion of the modules. We want to stress that all materials and guidance that's needed to be able to put these in the classroom are all free. And again, we have them aligned with the state standards. If you're interested in knowing more about what standards we've aligned each of our objectives with, please reach out to Danielle or myself, and we'll be able to share those with you upon request. So the 5 modules have been designed, and Danielle has spent quite a bit of time designing these modules for us, but they're designed to be 35 to 45 minutes each in the classroom. So this is not just the time on the module, but it's the prep time to get the students ready to go with the module and any assessments that will be done either pre or post completion of each of the modules. We've worked really closely with a center on campus to create a simulation game that's embedded throughout many of these different modules. And you can see from the module titles, they're everything from just the basics to the table egg industry, what's an introduction, what is a hen, what's the basic life cycle of a hen, and we do touch on animal welfare issues as well. So we try to cover what would be of interest to students, and also talk about trying to make it really relevant to why students should care about where their food comes from, particularly eggs, and what are some of the benefits to eating eggs, but really where do those eggs come from and how do they get to the grocery store. This is a sample of what the online modules look like. Students will log in through Blackboard, so every student will have their own online login. So teachers will get a list for their classroom, they'll assign those to their students, and then when they log in for each of the modules, they're going to be able to click and go through an interactive program that'll go through all the different topics for that particular module. They'll be able to access everything from the online component through the Blackboard system that will be provided individually to each student. We also are really excited to create this interactive science notebook that each student and every student participant in the program will receive a spiral bound notebook that tracks through each of the different modules. So there's different activities, different things. For example, they may have to predict something, hypothesize something prior to the start of the module, and they'll be able to look at that as well as they go through. Okay, there also will be group project worksheets that students will be able to do along with their the other students, their peers in the classroom. And we're going to provide a teacher edition for each teacher that'll give navigation hints for the program, for the notebook, answers, and any optional rubrics that the teacher may want to use as part of the program. For the group project components, so we envision a classroom would complete in about a week or 2 weeks the 5 online modules along with the scientific notebook, and then the teacher would assign, based on the description we provide, 3 to 4 students per group for the in-class component. And this in-class component is going to be designed to last for about a week in class with 30 to 45 minutes each day in the classroom. Teams are going to be challenged based on the material presented in the modules to design and build their ideal laying hen facility. And what our plans are is every single classroom that enrolls, Danielle and I will provide a kit to that classroom for the number of students in the class that will provide all the types of materials that students would need to complete this. And then at the end, students will present their diorama or their facility and explain why their group picked the choices that they did when they were preparing this. They'll have to talk about the constraints, they'll have their worksheet, and then we'll also provide teachers again with that rubric they can use during that presentation. So if you're interested in participating in the program, there's a few requirements that we'll need for each teacher. We're currently able to enroll 15 classrooms across the state. These can be both 4th or 5th grade classrooms. And upon interest in the program, if a teacher contacts us, we will need an email, which we'll tell you more about if you're interested in the program, with principal support. There's teacher consent forms that'll be filled out. There'll be parent consent forms that describe to the parents the type of program that the students are engaging in. And then there'll also be student assent forms where the students sign a document saying that they're aware, along with their parents, of the types of activity they'll be doing in the class. We ask that teachers, as part of the program, follow the program timeline, which we'll briefly go over, and then that the entire program is completed within the classroom setting and not done after school hours. And as I've already stated, individual students have access, they'll need access to the internet because we use online system, we use Blackboard as a way they're able to get online through tablets or various ways to access the individual modules. Okay, so the timeline. So from June to July, we are currently working on enrolling these 15 classrooms from across the state. In August, Danielle or myself, or both of us, will visit each of the different classrooms or regions around schools, if there's clusters of schools within the state, and we'll visit with teachers to do a little bit of training. This is going to be a short training. We don't want to take up too much of the teacher time in August, but we will give you a brief overview in person. We'll be able to give you the materials for the in-class project, and at this point, we're hoping that we can collect some of those consent forms. They can also be mailed or picked up by us. So September to November is really when the program implementation will occur. So teachers can select any time during that 3-month window that they want to start the program. The expectation is once you start, you would go through all 10 days of the program as consecutively as you can, with days 1 through 5 being the online portion and days 6 through 10 being that group project. And then in December, before the school year is over, that'll really be the completion of the program, where teachers will ask you for feedback. We'll ask for teachers to volunteer to participate in a focus group, and we'll also ask you to send back certain parts of the notebook to us or scan them. We can pick them up or they can be mailed. So enrollment ends July 13th. Again, as we've already said, there's 15 classroom spots. We're going to fill these spots on a first come, first served basis. You can, if you're interested, you can email Danielle or myself with just your name, your school, the current grade that you teach, and then the possible number of students that will be in your class this fall. So with that, if you have any questions at all, if you're not sure if you want to enroll in the program or there's things that you'd like to talk about a little bit more, my phone number is at the beginning of the slides presentation. You're welcome to contact me via email. You can contact Danielle via email. We're more than happy to answer any questions that you might have and maybe talk about how this program might fit into your school. So with that, we are finished and have a great day.
Thank you.